Welcome to The Myth of Motherhood, a podcast by, for, and about moms and those who love them. I don't believe in TMI, and this is a 100% judgment-free zone because there is no one right way to be a mother. There is only your right way. I'm your host, Alyssa Alter, a Brooklyn-based mom, women's health expert, and motherhood advocate. Curious to learn more about what I do and why I do it? Visit alyssa-alter.com. All right, let's get this myth-busting party started.
Welcome back. I am, as always, so happy to be here together. And I don't know about you, but I'm having this feeling again. It happens. I'm sure this will not be the last time, where I'm sort of swinging back and forth between feeling like I am by no means in any way, shape, or form doing enough to help women and children and mothers and parents and all of the marginalized people being persecuted and stripped of rights and murdered every day, and feeling like I might as well just crawl back into bed because there's nothing I can do. It won't be enough. I don't make an impact. I might as well just crawl back into bed. Maybe that's just me. I also know it's not. I know it's not because you talk to me, I talk to you, we talk, and I know that we're all feeling that, and it is real, and I don't have an answer or a solution. I just want to say that I am in that with you, and there's so much stress and so much noise that it's no wonder that we all feel like nothing we do or say makes a difference. We've been screaming into the void for so long. And it matters. It does matter. Our voices matter. You matter. We matter. It all matters. And now maybe you're thinking, Alyssa, I am one human filled with a lifetime of conditioning and socialization to not trust or use my voice because I am powerless. Of course I feel powerless. I've been told that I have no power. How could, both implicitly and explicitly, how could I even think about starting? Alyssa, I use my voice every day with my work inside and outside the home. But in this arena, I don't know where to start advocating for myself and for others. I'm completely paralyzed. How would I even start? Or maybe you're thinking, Alyssa, who the F are you to try to tell me what to do? And I think these are great questions and great thoughts. I'll start with the last one, which is, I am never here to tell you what to do. I am not the boss of you. I am breaking the silence. I am cracking open the taboo topics. I am saying the things that you already know and offering some starting points and inspiration to move towards something different and something new. Learning something new is what I'm an expert at. I'm not an expert at changing policy, changing governing bodies, or changing tires. But I am an expert at making changes in myself, in my life, and those of my clients. And wherever you are starting right now is the perfect place to start. And wherever that is, to get started using your voice in a new way starts with, are you ready for this? Are you sitting down? Maybe you already know exactly what I'm about to say. To get started using your voice in a new way starts with your breath. I feel like I can hear your eye roll, and I get it. I get it. And I'll go ahead and roll my eyes too, because I get it. I started voice lessons when I was 11. And one of the things that we would do every class was lay down on our backs, put our music books on our bellies, and inhale to lift the book, and then exhale, lower the book. And then it was like, inhale, lift the book, and then exhale, but don't lower the book. And don't lower the book for as long as you can, and then try not to collapse the book, but slowly lower it down with control. It's honestly a pretty decent exercise. And we worked on our breath, and then we started warming up our voices. Because your voice literally works by your breath moving from your lungs through your vocal cords and out of your mouth. Your breath is your voice. Your breath is your voice. So by being here right now, breathing, you are sending a message out into the world that you are here, that there is something inside of you that needs to come out. All of the anatomy, the pieces, the parts that make up your voice, the voice box, larynx, vocal folds, which look very vaginal, are less than like 2 inches long. Everything is super, super tiny. Even like this is for human beings. So like even like Mariah Carey, like it's 2 inches. I think, and I could be wrong here, but like your voice box, like it like fits on a dime. It's tiny, tiny, small equipment can yield a huge impact. And one voice can make a difference. Your voice can make a difference, and your voice is revolutionary because with every breath, sob, scream, and conversation you have, you are affirming your presence here and making space for other people to speak up also. A rising tide lifts all boats after all, right? And smooth seas never made a skilled sailor. I actually have a friend who has that tattooed on her body, and it's kind of incredible. Anyway, that is neither here nor there. She happens to be a beautiful singer. Okay, so the first step towards strengthening your voice is breathing. And the first step towards strengthening your voice is taking one step. Like any muscle, like any system in your body, you can train your voice. I started when I was 11. That's why I'm so loud, right? You see how what's happening inside impacts what's happening outside. This is why all of my courses, my workshops, Pilates for your privates, everything I do starts with breathing, because what's happening inside, what we're doing with our breath, if directly affects what's happening outside. And I know I used to find it annoying too. Everyone telling me that I had to start with breathing, the time spent on breathing, like I roll. And now I love it. I find it fun. And I know that it is the foundation of everything. So I so deeply appreciate the opportunity to check in with my breath because it is constantly changing. Okay, so maybe now what you're thinking is, okay, Alyssa, okay, I hear you. This makes sense. And I still have no idea where to start. And I've got you. So here's where we start. You need to release your belly because that allows for optimal function of your diaphragm, the muscle at the base of your rib cage. It controls your lungs. It also separates like your guts up in your rib cage from your guts down in your belly. You need to release your belly muscles, your abs, in order to access optimal function and range of motion of your diaphragm. And that also helps to shed patriarchal conditioning, because as a woman, we have been conditioned to hold our abs in tight, make our stomachs look as small and flat as possible, no matter the cost. So breathe in a way that allows your belly to release, similar to like when I was lying on the floor, inhaling, pushing the book up, exhale down. I mean, listen, I also cheated and like pushed my belly out, bearing down, which is not what we're doing, but that's neither here nor there. Okay. Well, it is, but it's diving into deep, me nerding out too hard. We can do that another time. Inhale and let your belly expand. Let go of your abs. Let your belly get bigger. And then exhale and let your belly draw in to push the air out. So as you do that, what you can add on your exhale is a flutter of your lips or a tongue trill on your exhale. The flutter of your lips is like blowing, I think people mostly say blowing raspberries, where you go, right? And you can either vocalize on it or just, right? So that gives a little bit of resistance to your breath. It makes your diaphragm work a little harder. And it also lets you know if your breath is staying consistent or cutting in and out. So you can either do, those are lip flutters, or a tongue trill, which is the same action that you would use if you were rolling your R's, speaking Spanish, right? Or you can add your voice to the lip or the tongue trill. So either just exhaling, that was me adding voice, or adding your voice to it, or then go ahead, breathe in, pick your poison, add your voice to it, and then open your mouth. Forget the trills or the flutters and use your voice in the same way. So you inhale. All you did was open your mouth and suddenly there was something there, right? And don't stop there. Keep going. This might seem, you might be listening to this and being like, wow, Alyssa's really gone off the deep end. She's moved to the suburbs and lost her mind. Now she's a voice teacher. I'm not a voice teacher. Am I a voice teacher? Because like I work with you on like how to use your voice in your life, right? And ask for what you need and advocate for yourself, for others. That's like voice teacher. But you're not going to come to me and then like get a role in an opera. Do you know what I mean? I know my lane. Anyway, see if you can, as you do that exercise, exhaling on a fluttering your lips or on a tongue trill or adding your voice, how it feels to play around with making the sound last for longer, like working on the endurance of your voice, like how long you can continue and sustain the exhale. You can play with volume, how loud, how quiet. It's not just about being loud. It's also balanced by how long can you sustain your breath and be quiet. You can do pitch, up high, down low, play around, right? Because the same way, right? If you are working on a new program at the gym, or you're starting something new, or you're looking to increase your endurance, your strength, your muscle mass, your general fitness, we need to diversify how we train, right? Our bodies adapt. We got to keep it guessing. So same thing with your voice. So don't stop with play around. Don't stop here. Strength and endurance are built over time. So make this a regular practice. We don't get strong from doing a push-up or a lip trill one time. It takes consistency and dedication to create change and build strength. Now, to maximize your breath capacity and efficiency, posture, right? I said you got to release your belly so that you can get full access to the range of motion and optimal function of your diaphragm, right? That's only part of the picture. I'm going to link in the show notes an article that I wrote for postpartum.com, which has 3 exercises that help balance having like sort of leaning over a baby all day. And it applies to every single person ever, whether or not you have a kid or are bending over them all day. These exercises could, and that article, like instead of leaning over your baby all day, could easily be replaced with desks, computer, phone, it's all the same. But those 3 exercises are phenomenal for posture. That article is linked in the show notes. And you can also listen to the episode of this podcast, Alignment is Everything, where I dive in a little bit more about where your vagina is pointing and how we address our alignment. Because when our bodies, which each of our bodies are skeletons, our muscles, our tissues, our tendons, all of it are unique to us. I mean, there are consistencies among all humans, and among all women and among all mothers because of the demands on our bodies. But each of our bodies are a little bit different, and honoring our unique alignment and really honoring and connecting to it allows every system inside and outside our body to function optimally so that we have access to a full range of motion, of strength, of endurance, of relaxation, of calm, of excitement, of all of it. Okay. So I also teach workshops and I have courses about this, which you can email me about or check out on my website under the courses tab. You can reach out to me, whether you want to do this individually. If you work at a company and are like, we need this. If you have a studio, I love that because we all deserve to have this information and we all deserve to feel this centered, safe, at home, and knowledgeable in our own bodies. And it doesn't have to be inaccessible or dull. It can be accessible and fun. Okay. Anyway, back to your voice. Your voice, I said this before, I'm saying it again. Your voice is a muscle. So we can apply what we know about structuring, progressing, and creating systems and boundaries and programming, right? We can apply what we know about doing that kind of thing at the gym to using our voice, which isn't meant to be held in. Our voice isn't meant to be held in. Neither is your stomach. So you are not meant to be kept small and you are not meant to be kept silent. Your voice is made to come out like vomit, but better. But I do tell Everett whenever he throws up, which still like really scares him, which is, I totally get it. And it's so sad and sweet to see because vomiting is violent and weird. And I explain to him every time what's happening, that this is his body getting rid of something that needs to come out. His body knows what to do and is doing a great job getting it out. So this is like vomiting, but way better. And it doesn't taste as bad. Anyway, sorry, that was disgusting. But I do think like maybe that's why we call it like word vomit, right? Like when we hold in our voices for too long and there's too much that needs to come out and we try to suppress it. We try to keep it in and we end up letting it all out in this uncontrolled, violent and messy and sometimes scary way. So now you make sound by air from your lungs being pushed up and out by the diaphragm, that air moving over your vocal cords, which still look very vaginal and are located in the tiny voice box, right? This little tiny box called your voice box. It's located in your throat and is the middle point between your brain and your heart. As I said before, I'm pretty sure it's about the size of a dime, which is insane, right? Like, think about how loud I am. And all of that comes from something the size of a dime. And now I'm obviously thinking about Kirstie Alley, may she rest in peace. And look who's talking when she talks about how can something the size of a watermelon fit outside something the size of a lemon. I know you were thinking that too. So I just had to call it out. Because how does my big, loud voice come out of something so small? It blows my mind. Anyway, your voice is also the middle point between your brain and your heart. Coincidence? I think not. Your voice is where your brain and your heart meet. And if these two endpoints of your brain and your heart, if they became like the diameter of a circle, and in the center of the circle with the focal point would be your voice, right? And then if that circle becomes a sphere or like this glowing orb, that it could float out of your body, right? Just like it does in The Little Mermaid. And you give your voice to an evil sea witch who will go on and try to foil your plans of becoming a real girl and marrying the only man you've ever even seen. Brain explosion, right? I had to how was I not going to bring up The Little Mermaid? I had to make the joke because I also felt like it was getting a little too sentimental, and I tend to use comedy when I'm, feeling vulnerable. But seriously, going back to that sentimental, more vulnerable part of the discussion, how powerful is your voice on an energetic level? It's a lot of power. It's a lot of power for you to hold. And so no wonder we're so apt to hand that power over to someone else, because it's a lot to manage. It's a lot of power. And if we learned anything from Spider-Man, we learned that with great power comes great responsibility. I know I did it again. I made a joke. And I do, because listen, I get emotional about this because I spent so much of my life feeling like my voice didn't matter, that my voice had no power. Yes, I was loud, literally in high school and college and community theater. I was never given one of the few body mics that were available during musicals. I never got a microphone, even when I was playing the lead, because I'm loud. I was I still am constantly getting in trouble for talking during class and rehearsal. People can hear my laugh from like a mile away. My voice has power, and yet I both knew that and didn't know that, and was ashamed of that for so long. I was loud, but my voice, my thoughts, my perspective, my desires, my voice was something to be ashamed of, something to apologize for, something to keep hidden, because all it did was get me into trouble. And with hindsight being 2020, I see how this is absolutely a part of my story, which plays into my first marriage, my theatrical career, friendships, and how I showed up for the first 3 decades of my life, how I ended up in a life that I hated. And I didn't reconnect with my voice until I filed for divorce. Literally, until I said the words to my now ex-husband, I am filing for divorce. It reminds me of it makes me think of, this Tell Me Your Mom Without Telling Me Your Mom. The episode of Bluey where Bingo is trying to find her big girl bark. I didn't find my big girl bark until being subject to other people's big girl barks for so long. And that became too painful for me to not speak up for myself and use my own big girl bark for myself. And once I did speak up, once I heard the sound of my big girl bark, right? I'm not a dog, my big girl voice, I couldn't get enough. I still can't get enough of it. I filed for divorce. I started dating. I wrote, performed, and produced my first one-woman show about it. Hashtag I Love My Life, an evening of songs celebrating divorce, dating, and making your own party. I took my big girl voice and I found Jeremy, my husband, partner, and person. And I knew I found him because he heard me. He saw me, he heard me, and he responded. I wasn't punished or reprimanded or corrected. Jeremy likes and accepts all of me, even when I'm still a little too loud, which does actually happen. And now, let's just take a moment and take a deep breath. Really let your belly go. And maybe take another deep breath, like all the way down to your vagina, because that's where the magic happens. And as you exhale, sigh or do one of those lip or tongue trills. Great. Now, you know that I love clarity and transparency. So in the spirit of what I want to say explicitly, in the spirit of that, what I want to say explicitly is that my mission right now isn't for you to start voice lessons and start training your voice to have a big, loud voice like I do. Right? Your voice is your voice. My voice is my voice. And my voice is the result of genetics and literally if I was 11, so like at this point, that's like 27 or so years of training and 27 years of decisions made to support the training of that voice because I was a professional singer, remember? So like, that doesn't have to be your story. What I am inviting you to do and maybe encouraging you a little bit is to connect with your voice, explore and maybe strengthen your voice a little bit, not to be in competition about it with anybody, but to have full, healthy, optimal function and range of motion of this muscle and the muscles that make your voice happen. The muscles that move you through the world, the muscles that let people know who you are and what you are about. And if you listened to the pelvic floor series of episodes 28 through 31 of Alter Your Life, the podcast, which will be coming out here on Myth of Motherhood, during my maternity leave, you know, but you can hop on over there and listen. But if you listen to that pelvic floor series, you know that a healthy muscle can both fully contract and fully release. So I want you to have access to the fullest expression and engagement of your voice, and also the fullest expression of the release and rest of your voice. And you get to decide where in that range of motion to operate at any given time. In my first marriage, I felt like I was silently screaming. I felt stuck and rigid and like I couldn't move. I felt like my voice and myself were completely trapped. I then, after the divorce, went on some dates where my voice was flaccid and barely there or engaged. And it served me to gain a lot of information about how I was showing up, how I was reacting to the other person, how the other person was showing up, how I was reacting to that. And when I met Jeremy, I felt safe to rest and I felt safe to engage and everything in between. On this show, speaking to you, I feel safe to use the full range of motion of my voice and explore the limits. Maybe sometimes explore, push the boundaries while also honoring them because duh. And I also have relationships in my life where that doesn't feel safe. And I'm faced with two choices: limit my range of motion to meet someone else's expectations or comforts, which is sometimes honestly the perfect choice to make, right? To stay safe, or burn shit to the ground. Both choices are the right choice, are the best choice in different situations. I do have a tendency to lean more towards one than the other. I'll let you guess which one. It's the burn shit to the ground one. And here's why. I've burned shit to the ground before. I've burned shit to the ground. I know how to look at a situation, a relationship, a dynamic, and to connect to like my guts, my intuition, my deepest parts of myself, and know if I need to pause because I'm burning shit down. I'm wanting to burn shit down because of a result of like an adult tantrum, or if it's because there needs to be like a bonfire, a cleansing fire ritual that creates space for something new to be born. And how do I know that? Because I've done both, right? And I've learned from my mistakes and my successes. I remember these things. And instead of punishing myself for the mistakes or celebrating myself in any sort of absolute way for the successes, it's all experience. It's all data that I get to use to make better decisions moving forward. And after I burned my first marriage to the ground, my current life was born. my current self. Well, then I had the new version of myself was born. And let me tell you, like doing that cleansing, burning shit to the ground was good. Like I loved it. I love it. And I know for myself that when I'm in situations, dynamics, and relationships where I don't feel safe to use my full range of my voice, myself, it's not because I'm a problem or that I'm wrong or I need punishment or correction or anything like that. It's because I'm somewhere that I don't belong. I'm somewhere I don't want to be. I'm somewhere that's uncomfortable. And I can always choose to leave. I can choose to change the situation, or I can choose to stay. And see, this is the beauty of having a full range of motion. You can then choose how and when to use everything available to you. And that is power. And like we learned from Spider-Man, with that power, with great power comes great responsibility. Because we have to be present with what's actually going on in that moment and be intentional and purposeful with our actions. And I feel this way about motherhood. I am fully capable of keeping my voice low and quiet and maintaining the status quo. And if you want to go far, just do things as they are. Don't mess with the flow. No. Stick to the status quo. Whoa. Yes, that is from High School Musical. You are welcome. My first professional lead role was Sharpay Evans. You're welcome again. And, right, so I can choose that. I could choose that keeping my voice low, just sticking to the status quo, right? Being good. But and I'm not saying that's never the right decision. There are circumstances where you make that decision, right? For me, I often tend to choose to burn it all down. You know it, I know it, I know, I know, and so on and so forth. And we're on the same page because these systems in place to keep us quiet and low are antiquated and never should have lasted this long in the first place. So I'm burning them down in that sacred cleansing ritual kind of way. And I'm doing that by speaking up. By speaking out from within, connecting with my center, my truth, my vagina to continue taking the next right step towards something better, anything better, the next step towards not this. Because the finish line isn't always visible, but we know it's there. I don't need to know what it looks like. I need to know that I am taking the next right step. And this is literally how I approached dating when I first got divorced. I had no idea what I was looking for. I had never been on a real date. I met my ex-husband when I was 18, like first day of college. But I had a whole list of what I was not looking for. And so I used those red flags as guideposts or like bumpers in bowling to guide my path forward. And then as I started having more experiences where I felt heard, seen, safe, and celebrated, I then started seeking out more of that. I think there is no irony at all that at that point in my life, after my divorce, when I was dating, that's when I got back into musical improv and started making up musicals and not only singing, but literally writing songs live in front of an audience. The ultimate expression of not just using my voice, but trusting my voice. And all of this led me to the finish line, not of Jeremy, not of getting married again, not of landing the guy, getting the ring, which I did that too, but that led me to the finish line of me, the fullest version of me at that time. And so I keep exercising, exploring, and using my voice to continue to find the fullest expression of me. I don't want this muscle to atrophy. I need to use it so I do not lose it. The stakes are too high for me to lose my voice because when I lose my voice, I lose me. And I am not willing to do that ever again. Not for a job a relationship, my children, not for anything or anyone. I am here, I matter, and I am not going to shut up about it. And I invite you to join me. One last thing before I sign off for today. Take a deep breath. Let your belly go and then let it out. Breathe in again, but deeper. And then maybe do that like lip flutter or tongue trill. And one more big deep breath all the way down into your vagina, because that is where the magic happens. I can't wait to see you here, be with you here again next week. And remember, as always, I've got your back, I've got your front, and I've got your undercarriage.
Thank you so much for sharing your precious time with me. I am so happy that you're here. I hope this episode resonated with you and maybe even inspired some insight into the myth of motherhood and how that shows up for you in your life. If you found yourself nodding your head along with this episode thinking, oh my God, did Alyssa read my journal? Or I feel so seen. Or even I'll have what she's having. You can. Check out our incredible community over in the private Facebook group Moms Club and visit me at alyssa-alter.com to download your free guide to the 20 things no one tells you about pregnancy and postpartum. Remember, there is no one right way to be a mother. There is only your right way. See you next week.